Let's look at Friday's action across the NBA. Injuries, of course. Big Wembanyama performances, of course. All the action that we need to look at across the 10 games. And, of course, an intro from Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and I've been killing all these people with passive smoking. Smoke on you fat crap. The ball's on the half-forward line, and here comes Carlton. And I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Twitter, as always, at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by Jace Medical. Empower yourself when you purchase a Jace case, providing you with a personal supply of 5 antibiotics that treat 50-plus infections. Get yours today at jacemedical.com. Use the code LOCKEDON to get $20 off your order. That is JASEmedical.com. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free and we are available on all platforms. Be a double banger. Audio, video, thumbs, bells, comments, subscribe. Live show coming, trade deadline as well. Thursday, February the 8th, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time, live here on YouTube. You'll find the link everywhere. It's going to be everywhere. You'll see it all the time, and I want you in there. I want 20,000 people in there. I want 200 pre-likes. Let's hit 200 pre-likes on that video as well. Sorry about that intro. There's going to be about 10 people who get that, and for those people, I hope you enjoy it. If not, I'm just strange, so it's okay. Let's talk about the games across here on Friday. There were 10 of them. When I chuck these bonus recap shows in on a Friday, we're not going to get them every week, don't worry. You're getting a few of them at the moment, though. I'm just not going to go through a whole bunch of peripheral stuff. I'm not going to do a full show. I just want to bang this stuff out because, again, it's Saturday afternoon here. I'm ready to crack, and let's go in. First game, Kings, Sixers. Big win for Philadelphia, even bigger considering that Joel Embiid was not playing. 112-93 the final score. The Kings have got a little bit of work to do here at the moment. For the Kings, Sabonis had 14, 12, and 5, but honestly, that's pretty mid, like really low attempts, no defensive stats as per usual. I'd say he's been somewhat disappointing this season, but still okay. Keegan Murray's on a really nice hot streak, 15, 8, and 3. My issue with Keegan has been, from a fantasy point of view, is that what are you doing that's not points and threes? Your usage is not really always that high, and it wasn't that high here. But I like that he's doing these little other things, like a steal, 2 blocks, he had 3 assists. That's pushing him up. He is now 78th for the season. Actually, amazing. Wow, I've got him projected 78th the rest of the season as well. Didn't know that. And this is a nice performance from him. De'Aaron Fox, the shooting... He copped the biggest kiss of death ever from me in that Sal High show when I just said, look, there's just no way he's going to keep shooting. I think he's at about 4% since then. He's not, but another stinking 33% shooting night. While Malik Monk had 15, 1, and 4 with 2 steals and a block with bad shooting. All those guys are must-roster players. There was no Kevin Huerter, and they started Chris Duarte. For what reason? I have no idea. Why would they start him and play 10 minutes? How many times do I have to see Chris Duarte play? How many times does Mike Malone. This is not Mike Malone. How many times does Mike Brown need to watch Chris Duarte play before he goes, absolutely not? Like, he puts him out there and goes, get out of here. Next game, all right, who should I, maybe let's try Duarte. No, get out of here. And he goes again, starting. Let's go with Duarte. Oh my God, get out of here. I know they don't have huge options. You could always start Malik Monk and just play him 35 minutes. That is a possibility. You could try Colby Jones. You could try Davion Mitchell. No, he's terrible. You could try Keon Ellis. You could try anybody apart from Chris Duarte. I don't get it. Because every game, it's the same thing. Let's try... Oh, no. Shit house. Terrible. The pencil. Harrison Barnes. Barnesy. 4 points in 21 minutes. This guy is cooked. He is washed. He's still being held onto by people in 12-team leagues. Good luck to them. I was going to say they know more than we do, but they don't. They actually know less. That is why they're holding on. In terms of the Sixers, Toby Harris had 37 and 7 in 36 minutes. Maxey had 21, 3 and 4, 3 steals, 2 blocks. 35% only for Tangles, but the other stuff there is really good. While no Joel Embiid, so we got B-Ball Paul to play 24 minutes. This is good enough to hold. Embiid is probably going to be back start of next week, but 8, 7, 2 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks. That's what you have Paul Reed for. You could have also streamed in Mo Bamba, who had 11 points with 2 threes and 4 blocks as well. I'm a little worried about DeAnthony Melton, not going to lie. 25 minutes for Melton, but what I will say is the problem, it has to be that back issue because it's not like they were just rolling because Kelly Oubre was playing well. He didn't even play. He's dealing with a toe problem. Melton played 25 minutes. He played 21 last game. 6-4-3 with 2 threes. In a points league, if you want to move on from Melton, I get it. His upside's not high in a points league. In a category league, I would hold, but it's a little annoying the way things are going at the moment. After a really hot stretch, it's cooled off somewhat, and I'm a little concerned. Batum had 14 points with 4 threes and 6 rebounds. Hit all of his shots. He's a great 14-team league, category league player. And there's not a huge amount else I think that we need to go into in this game. Let's go to the next one. It was the standard fare of the Pacers beating up on the Hawks, 126-108. I hope that you added TJ McConnell. Like, what more do you need? Are you waiting for this? 6 points, 4 rebounds, 14 assists, 3 steals, 1 block. There is no reason to be waiting. This is the most obvious move of all time ever. We saw it last year. We're seeing it again now. Just never wait on it. Easy stuff. Easy money. Nembhard's still okay as a 12er. He's not great. I don't think he's a fantastic player actually in real life, but 10, 4, and 7, 2 steals, 2 threes. Still pretty good. Still pretty good. Bud Hield, I just can't work out where this guy goes every game. 18 points is great. 4 threes is great. 3 blocks is like 10 years worth of blocks for Bud. But he might have 3 points in 14 minutes next game. He's more of a streamer than a must. And I think we've got to say the same about Mathurin, who played 27 minutes, but this guy is empty. He's always empty. 15, 1, and 3 with no threes, no steals, no blocks. That's a really poor fantasy line. For points leagues, he is much better. But to be fair, he's still only 150th in points leagues this season, which is still not very good. But he is still more of a must roster in points than he is in categories. Neesmith was fairly mid, 13-4. Obi Toppin, I thought, was pretty good, 18, 6-4. Hit all of his shots. When he's doing that, he has value. But again, this team is just so frustrating with the Toppin, Neesmith, Smith situations all over the shop. The Hield, the Mathurins. It's too many guys who you consider maybes and yeses and nos, and then they're all over the place. Even Bruce Brown was great last game, and then he did like 12, 1, and 4 here and played 21 minutes. But I do have to talk about Isaiah Jackson because he was a big miss last season. We're looking at drafting him around 100. We'll go, I think they're probably going to trade Miles Turner. But even if he plays 19 minutes as a backup, he'll be useful in fantasy. And this is exactly why. 18 minutes, 12, 5, and 2, 4 steals, 4 blocks. Don't tell me that's not a 12-team line because it clearly is. The problem is that Turner didn't get traded and he moved to be the third-string center and never played. So it was a terrible draft pick last season. But while they are starting Sticks at power forward, who is still worse than Isaiah Jackson, while they are starting Sticks at power forward, Jackson's the backup, and you can use that. It's probably more 14 as a must there instead of 12, but bloody hell, no one's turning down 12, 5, and 2 with 4 steals and 4 blocks. The thing about that is, and sometimes players will do stuff and I'll go, all right, cool, whatever. I look at that and go, that might happen 3 more times. Like, he can do this. This is what he does. That is not outrageous for him. They have got 2 of the best permanent fantasy guys, I think, who sit and get zeros many times. That is McConnell and Jackson, and they're both in roles at the moment, and you've got to pay attention. For the Hawks, there will still no DeAndre Hunter, of course. Trae Young's in a bit of a slump at the moment. Another poor game for him. 13 points on 22% shooting is bad. He had 6 assists. He steals are way up this season, and that's helping, but just not a good game. But it was a good game from DeJounte. 29 points on 72%, and he got steals, which have been well down. His rebounds and assists are never going to get back there, I don't think, but the other numbers are good. The depressed penis had 17-4, Sadiq Bey in 31 minutes, and Jalen Johnson was fine. I wouldn't say he was great, but he was fine. 16-4 and through 3 with 2 steals. The Capella and Okongwu combination both farted on us. Like, that was just a real crop dusting for the ages. 7-5 for Capella in 22 minutes with a steal and a block. Okongwu went 6-1-1 in 23. No crossover minutes there. They would have got a little bit more had it not been for the 4 garbage time minutes at the end. But we saw a lot of crossover last game, or 2 games ago. None here. I am still holding on to Okongwu because I do think something might break loose. It might not be Capella. It probably won't be. But I am still holding. But in a points league, I'm not as interested in holding on to the big fella there, Onyeka Okongwu. Today's episode is brought to you by Jace Medical. According to the FDA, there is supply chain issues for medications. It's just true. Pharmacies are running out of antibiotics like amoxicillin. And we're right in the middle, for you guys in North America, right in the middle of winter, because winter is the time when things like bacterial respiratory infections kick up. They just do. That's just what happens. Having antibiotics on hand at home is something that can be really useful in case of a situation where you can't get them and you need them. Respiratory tract infections sinusitis, which is, of course, a respiratory tract infection, urinary tract infection, skin infections. The Jace case provides those 5 emergency antibiotics that you can have at home. You go through your physician encounter at jacemedical.com. It gets reviewed by that board-certified physician, and the medications get dispensed to you by a local pharmacy at a fraction of the cost. It's never been more important to be prepared than today. So go to jacemedical.com and use the code LOCKEDON to get $20 off your order. Game 3 of the day is, which one was it? Oh, it was the Houston Rockets narrowly escaping victory. Narrowly getting victory against the Pistons, 112-110. We were hoping to see Cam Whitmore do something good, and we didn't. He had 3 points in 15 minutes, shot 14%, had 1 rebound and no other stats. So there's that pin in that balloon. If I added Cam Whitmore in a 14-team league, I'd be okay holding him. I added him just to see what would happen across this back-to-back in-industry pickup. They play again tomorrow. I don't think it's worth dropping tomorrow unless a better option is out there, like maybe a Grizzlies player. We'll talk about that later. But this was disappointing. It was deflating. Hopefully he's back with a better game next time. There was a lot of consternation early this season about Fred VanVleet. I'd say he's all right. 20-4, 12 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 3 triples. Jabari had 9-10-11 with 2 blocks. And also, Jalen Green playing much better. Greeny is up to a top 120 player over the last two weeks. The Filipino legend had 28, 5, and 3, a steal and a block. 89 from the line is good. 36 from the field is not. And he took 25 attempts. That needs to be reduced, but still some overall good numbers, while Şengün had 29 and 6. We also got 21 minutes of Reggie Bullock dusted off, which is terrible. Tari Eason's going to be out a little bit of time here, at least another week. I don't think you need to hold on to Tari Eason through this. Of course, open IL slots, you know the drill. If you got it, why not? If you've got it, flaunt it. Use it. Use your hole. Use your injured reserve slot to store someone like that. The Pistons got back my mate, Isaiah Stewart, but they did lose Bojan Bogdanovic today with a calf issue. Of course, he had the calf issue in the preseason that cost him the beginning of the season as well. So they went straight back to starting Alf Stewart. He played 29 minutes. They had 16 and 7 with 3 threes, and he committed one of the worst things you'll ever see on a basketball court. And I know, for those of you who have watched Pistons games, that's hard to say, yeah? But Killian Hayes inbounded the ball to him. He just caught it and walked it over the baseline, thinking that he was taking the inbound pass. Like, my guy, Killian was right there, and he passed it directly to you from the inbound, from out of bounds. And Stewart just takes it. Oh, I guess I'll pass it in. Like, my guy. They lost by 2 points. It's one play. I know it's worth 2 points that they get, whatever, but come on. But yeah, no, I've got to get him straight back into the starting lineup. I think he's more of a 14-team league guy. The guy they started in place of Bojan Bogdanovic, it was sort of Stewart, but they actually benched Isaiah Livers. What about the Fort Kevin Knox? 19 points, 35 minutes, 7 rebounds, 1 steal, 2 blocks. He shot 78%, which is obviously not going to hold, but it's the minutes and it's the peripherals that I'm interested in here. Don't make me say that I'm adding Kevin Knox, because I'm not. But I'm also not adding him. When Bogdanovic returns, he will move to the bench and disappear into the ether. They just have no forwards. Well, they have a rookie, their pick number 5, who they could probably play there, but why would you? Knox is better than Isaiah Livers, and at least in deeper leagues, it's a little bit interesting. Duran had 15 and 8 with 2 steals and a block, the passport legend, while Alec Burks played 30 minutes for 19 points with 5 threes. He also chipped in with 2 blocks, which is a little bit abnormal. Burksy is worth having while Cade is out. So is Jaden Ivey, despite, why is he 1 of 4 from the line? I know he's not an excellent free throw shooter, but come on, 1 of 4. He had 18, 7, and 8 with a block. I love all those counting stats. I love that for points leagues. There are going to be percentage issues for sure, but I do think he's a 12-teamer. While Hayes had 5, 4, and 8. We know what Killian is. He's an assist guy. That's what he brings. You can use it. You don't have to, but you don't expect him to do more than that. Asar Thompson had 4 points in 18 minutes with 8 rebounds. They are just not playing him, so you don't have to play him, and he is still rostered in a Harrison Barnes-esque 21% of 12-team leagues. What are you guys holding on to? What do you think is going to change? Nothing is the answer. We also got Marvin Bagley for no reason back in ahead of James Wiseman. I'm not saying it's the wrong decision, but just out of nowhere. Bagley was back in. He had 11 points in 12 minutes, and Wiseman back to DNPs. Lucky that we invested so much money in draft picks and equity and time into those jokers. The next one that we take a look at, the LA Clippers and the Memphis Grizzlies. The Clippers win this one, 128-119. Of course they do. Paul George has 37 with 7 threes. Good game. Kawhi only played 29 minutes, but he had 22, 7, 4. Andy Richie-Beno, 2 threes, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. Some might say that is a marvelous effort. Jimmy Harden had 11, 1, and 9 in his 28 minutes. He just sort of chugs along at the moment. He's been pretty strong, like 26th for the season. 19th for the season, 26th last 2 weeks with low usage. Don't really see that much changing. Norm Powell just does his thing. 11 points, 24 minutes. Streamable, not rosterable. There is a difference between those two things. I found one of the saddest Twitter accounts ever yesterday. I can't remember the actual name of it, but it was a Russell Westbrook stan account, and it was just embarrassing. Westbrook had 12 points in 16 minutes with 46% shooting, and the 85% of people still rostering him in 12-team leagues. Come on, what is going on?
Get that garbage out of here.
And you might think I'm bashing Russell Westbrook. I'm not. This is his role now. Why is there so much delusion amongst people? This guy was talking on Twitter, man, I've lost all my passion for basketball. The Clippers have ruined it for me. Look what they're doing to Russ. Even if they win a ring this season and Russ gets his ring, I just can't bear to watch what they're doing to him. This is so embarrassing, and it's all political agendas that's killing him. I've lost the passion for the game because of how they've treated him. Bruh. Did you see what happened? He went to the bench and they became unstoppable because this is who he is now. Tying your own self-worth and enjoyment of a game to a player who is past his prime is legit insane behavior. It is. Westbrook used to be one of my favorite players until he turned into someone I didn't like watching. And now I recognize what his value is or how he should be treated. Basketball is ruined forever because Westbrook comes off the bench. Bro, come on, man. The Grizzlies. No Marcus Smart, no Santi Aldama, no Derrick Rose, no Brandon Clark, no John Morant, no Steven Adams, and then Desmond Bain left. He's not going to play tomorrow. I feel pretty good about saying that. He had 15 points in 23 minutes. I don't know how long he's going to be out. We'll find out more tomorrow, but let's just put it this way. He's not coming back quickly, is my guess. I don't know how bad it looked, but he was supposed to take free throws, and he just went, I'm out of here. I'm not taking them. That is a week plus minimum. This team is bad, so he's going to miss more time, and that is just disastrous. Jaren returned. He had 21-6 with a 1-1. Now, you're going to ask, well, what do I do with Bain out? And the answer is, I actually don't know. I don't know. Because Gilead played 20 minutes and had 8 assists. And I say that he did that because it sounds good, but he had 0 points. He had 1 rebound and nothing else. And I don't think he's a 12-teamer. What I do think we've got to do is look at the Duck Luke Kennard, and I think we just grab him. 11, 7, and 6 in 29 minutes until he gets hurt. We grabbed Xavier Tillman, who was awesome. This is why I was big on adding him at the beginning of the season. And then Taylor got into him, jerked him around, and we just didn't see anything crack. 20 and 9, 1 steal, 2 blocks. If you're taking one thing out of today, it's just go and add Xavier Tillman and let's see what happens. Jake LaRavia had his first ever good game, 12 points in 20 minutes. Just keep an eye on that. Zaire only played 19 minutes. He'd been playing 25 a night. They have a bunch of guys go out and they go, all right, less minutes. That's where you go, how do I judge this? How do I know what's going to happen on a daily basis? John Conchar, who sometimes plays 25 minutes, played 6, the fewest out of everybody. And you think he might be in line to start in place of Bain, or he could get a big fat DNP. That is what's happening. But they have nobody that can handle the ball. Who is their point guard? It is going to have to be Gilead, and then Kennard's going to have to do it because there is nobody. Nobody. It is shocking. They are going to have to bring in someone on a hardship who can actually run as a point guard. Tim Frazier exist anywhere anymore? What else do we need to do? Oh, David, I don't want to do David Roddy. 17, 6, and 4 in 27 minutes for Roddy. That's a good game. That brings him to 302nd for the season. He's just a bad real-life player who's also a bad fantasy player. The guy that everyone did grab was Vince Williams, and to say that he was bad is also true. He had 6 points in with 2 threes. I would still hold him, but what are you expecting to get out of these? You're not going to get gigantic, big performances every game, but let me just tell you this part of it. I tweeted this about a month ago, and then Taylor Jenkins backed me up today. Shout out to Taylor, my man, old Jenko. He said, it was a funny quote, so I'm just going to try and actually find exactly what he said because there was good humor in it. It's Taylor Jenkins on playing GG Jackson. He's been someone I've been thinking about. Okay, well, just do it. Because I look at this team and there is nobody who generates their own shot. If Bain is out, there is nobody to initiate offense. Now, GG Jackson might shoot 28% from the field, but he might have 34 usage if he gets an extended run. If I'm in a 20-teamer, if I'm in an 18-teamer, I wouldn't mind a just sneaky look at Greg Jackson II. I wouldn't mind a sneaky look at him. Because somebody needs to take shots. He had 28 usage in this game. He had 4 and 5 in 9 minutes. What do we say? Maybe we get out ahead of it. Don't be shocked tomorrow if he gets 21 minutes, has 17 points on 40 usage, Cam Thomas style. Just who else can generate their own shot? Laravia, Tillman, Kennard, Roddy, no. Zaire, maybe. Vince, no. Gilead, no. Concha, no. Jaren, actually no as well. There's nobody. So it might have to be GG. And they will lose by 100. But man, we will find out what happens here. It is a real disaster zone. The takeaway is Tillman is the ad, right? We add Tillman. We go to Kennard and Vince Williams after that. You can go to Gilead if you're looking for some deeper league assists. And John Conchar is the name we just watched. No, it's not. Sorry. It's GG Jackson is the name we just watched. Desperation, deeper stuff. Don't be surprised on it, though. Today's episode is also brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. It's also the easiest and the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It's just you against numbers. They put the player projections out there for the individual numbers, and you look at them and you just say more or less. You don't have to worry about thousands of people in a contest. You don't have to worry about pros and sharks coming in and stealing your money. It's just you against those projections. You pick 2 to 6 of those individual stats. You choose which direction you're going to go. You put them into your entry, and bang, Bob's your uncle. If you win, you get up to 25 times your money back. So, they're the only site, PrizePicks, that has the reboot policy, where the injury insurance, if your player gets injured in the first half and they don't return in the second, they get rebooted. No other daily fantasy sports platforms has that. So go to prizepicks.com/lockedonnba. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. That is prizepicks.com/lockedonnba. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks is daily fantasy sports made easy. All right, let's go on to the next game here. All right, the next one is our Orlando Magic. They don't get the song because they lose against the Miami Heat. 99 Miami, 96 Orlando is the final score here. The Magic were without Wendell Carter, Franz Wagner, John Isaac, Gary Harris as per usual. So Mo Wagner went off again. As long as Wendell is out, Mo is a good stream. 19, 5 and 5 steal block. Goga was not as good. 2-9 steal block. That's still okay, but Mo's the one that's cooking. And I think part of the reason why they're letting Mo cook more when earlier in the season when Wendell was out is that now that Franz is out, and yes, they play different positions, but what Mo does is give you shot creation and give you scoring. And in the past, Franz was doing that. Franz isn't there, so it can't all fall onto Paolo. So they need more of Mo to be able to get out there and score because nobody else can do it. Chuma KK started again, 16, 4 and 2 with 4 threes. That's a good game. I don't trust that outside of really, really deep leagues, while Bunkero did his usual thing of being terrible at percentages with no defensive stats. He also had 25, 8 and 6. And Caleb Houston's been a really solid source of threes. Another 3 triples there for 9 points. Jalen Suggs played 14 minutes. So you look at this and go, what the hell happened? Well, he was sick, apparently. He was quite ill. He came in, he played a few key defensive possessions. He had 3 blocks still, but he was sick. It just wasn't announced before the game, so that's annoying. While Cole Anthony played 7 minutes last game and then had 27 here, and he's just really not playing well. 5 points, 2 steals and a block, 25%. I don't think he's a must-roster player. Fultz is looking better, 3, 3 and 3, 2 steals and a block for him, while Mr. Black played only 9 minutes, and he will be out of the rotation when they are fully healthy. I feel really confident about that because he is just not ready, which is okay. First game back in like a month plus for Joe Ingles. He had 14 points with 6 assists and 3 steals and played 20 minutes. At least want to keep an eye on that in like 14 teamers because of the lack of options who can pass and play and shoot with Franz out. A little bit of something to watch there for him. As for Fultz, I wouldn't say that he's a must-add player, but he definitely looked better here. And I think if you want him, fine. I'm just not sure his upside's high enough to deal with some ups and downs. The Heat continue to be one of the hardest teams to work out what is going on because there's still a million guys out. In this one, there was no Butler, no Hero, no Lowry. 3 starters, 2 of their best 3 players. So how do we figure out what the hell to make of this? Well, Bam continues to play well, 39 minutes, 21, 11, and 7. Duncan Robinson stepped up, 41 minutes, 23, 4, and 3 with 4 threes. If Hero remains out, and I don't know that he will, Robinson was awesome earlier in the season when Hero was out, so we go back to him. Jaime Jaquez played 37 minutes. He had 19, 7, and 3, a really good game. He had a steal. He continues to be really pretty solid. But he is getting everything that he can muster, 37 minutes. He's 138th over the last 2 weeks, and I do think he will disappear. Because at some point, these guys will come back, but maybe they don't. Now, they will, but is this team ever going to have even remotely close to a useful rotation going? I don't know. We saw Nikola Jovic play a really good game last time out, and then he went back to being Nikola Jovic. He had 4 points on 13% with no steals, no blocks, and 4 assists. He's definitely not a 12-team league guy. He's like a 16-teamer, and this is with Caleb Martin back. So Caleb Martin returned. Highsmith played 32 minutes. Martin had 11 points. Highsmith had 7 and 8. These are 14 to 16-team league guys only. And Josh Richardson had 9 points. Really surprised they didn't start Richardson in this game, but whatever. They started Huckes at point guard, so cool, whatever. Which is great. Like, he's a fantastic Swiss Army knife role player, sort of a player. And he's been awesome for them this season. My focus always is there overall star upside? I don't see it. And does the category league or fantasy value muster on? And I'm not sure about that either. But it keeps going. So, cool. Whatever. That is where we're at with that. The next game is the Minnesota Timberwolves. Smacked the Blazers, who lost by about 200 points combined on this road trip because they're terrible. I don't even know what to do with this team, honestly. Anthony Simons went to the locker room. He returned. Probably shouldn't have. He had 5 points on 0% shooting. Zero. This man is 200th over the last 2 weeks. Remember, he came back from that thumb injury. There was a lot of piston bashing going on when that happened. Oh, man, this guy's going to roll top 30 rest of season. He's been pretty shit since that first or second game back. He's really sort of struggling in this role. The shot is not there. Nothing is working well at the moment. I think he is a big buy low candidate, but it is really troubling. And as for Scooter, 25 minutes, 8 points, 75%, which is great. But 8 points, 4 assists, 25 minutes. That's... I don't know. I don't know what to do with Scoot. I still do believe in him, but I'll be honest with you, my level of belief is lower than it was. It's taking a long time here. And where I thought it might be 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, now it feels like it's 1 step forward, 2 steps back. It's all over the place. And that sort of irregularity in production or unreliability makes it really hard to just hold on to him. Malcolm Brogdon returned. He had 9, 2, and 3 in 26 minutes. You don't need to roster him, but yeah, the Russell Westbrookian 84% of people still believe that you do. I don't. Kamara was pretty good while Jabari Walker came back. 32 minutes, 17 and 13. Is he the guy that we add with Ayton out? Well, maybe, but what he officially done now, I think, has killed Dwight Reith. Well, maybe that's not true, because Reith had 14 and 6 with a steal and a block, which is fine. But Walker getting a ton of those minutes, and then Ibubaji got hurt again. So they're just banged up to the shitter. They're not as bad as what Memphis is, but they're pretty banged up. I don't think there's anything else that I missed there. Chris Murray's been horribly disappointing. Ryan Rupert's been pretty poor. Scoot's been terrible. This whole team is terrible. By the way, guys, he doesn't get much heat. Chauncey Billups has been a bad coach since basically he was hired, and no one says anything about it. They just think that he was brought in there to develop the young guys and build. No. He was brought in to coach Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, Yusuf Nurkic, whoever else was on that team at the time. He is a terrible coach. Like, dreadful. Really terrible. Like, moving into how are you still coaching Dwayne Casey territory, who looks much better than Monty Williams. For the Wolves, Gobert returned. Told you he was going to return. And I told you what they were going to do. That was the most obvious thing I've ever seen with Gobert, because he sat that back-to-back the other day. And in order so they didn't get queried by the NBA, he was going to be fine to play here, and they were going to not list it. They were going to say Mike Conley was fine because he was old and he's allowed to rest, but they were going to list Gobert as questionable and leave it up in the air right till the start of the game so it would look like an apparent real injury. And then he played 28 minutes and had 24, 17, and 2 blocks. Of course he did. It was easy. It was so obvious that was going to be the case. No, that's not true. It wasn't obvious. I am next level genius and saw it a mile away. None of that is true either. I just thought it made sense. Towns had 23 and 8 in 28 minutes. Just easy stuff here. Well, Jaden McDaniels, could he get in on the action? Well, he could not. He had 9 points with 2 rebounds. Shout out to the big rebounding small forward legend, Jaden McDaniels. He is not a 12-team category league guy. Goose is in a real slump at the moment, Anthony Edwards. 9 points on 9 shots. He had 6 assists. He's 41st over the last 2 weeks. A lot of people took him in the first round. If you did, it was wrong. But if you did, how do you feel about it? Because, what is he now, 29th for the season? Do you think he's returned? I'll give you took him second round, because that's where majority of people, and I think I had him 19, 20 maybe, somewhere around that area, right? And I think I've been a little bit wrong on that, probably a little bit high, but a lot of people are going 12, 13 with him. How have you found the season from Edwards? Are you pissed? Are you annoyed? Are you okay with it? Like, what's your thought process on how he's been? With Gobert back, Anderson had 2 points in 15 minutes. He's jacked.
Get that garbage out of here.
And the Wizard of Naz Reid played 21. He had 14, 2, and 1. This is back to the Reid is only a streamer type zone. He's very up and down. I don't care if you hold him. That's totally reasonable. But he's also just going to be one of your worst players, I'm guessing, on the majority of nights that you get ready to trot him out there. The Golden State Warriors trotted out a strange starting lineup. They actually kept it the same all the way through the game, and they won. Their starting lineup was Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins back in because he's been so good, Dario Saric at power forward and Kevon Looney at center, and they got all of the minutes, and they actually played pretty well. Now, when you play against whatever this nonsense team is on the other side, the Chicago Bulls, it makes sense. Klay was great. 30-6, 7 triples, 6 assists, steal and a block. He's playing much better of late. We know he had a horrid start to the season, but he is playing much better. The inconsistency is what's frustrating, but this is much better stuff. And Steph, also much better. 27, 5, and 9 with 6 dribbles. And if I'm going to shit on Andrew Wiggins all season, and I have, because he deserved it, he was great. 17, 5, and 8. 8 assists from Andrew Wiggins. 2 steals and a block. He shot 62 from the field, and I don't actually care enough to add him. I would like to see a couple of those Wiggo. Now, you might say, Josh, what about your phrase? What about your raison d'etre? What about your raison d'etre, but in a French accent? Raison d'etre. Get ahead of it. I don't actually think this is getting ahead of it. It might be. You might see it that way. I don't really see it. The bucket moved to the bench, Johnny Kuminga. He had 24 in 24 minutes. That's one of his better recent games. I find it a little hard to trust if he's going to play 24 a night to be a 12-team league guy. But if I've got him, I will hold through this. Jackson Davis, only 17 minutes. That's annoying. But 13, 7, and 2 a steal and a block is absolutely a 12-team hold. And then Pajemski played 27, and I think we're okay with moving on from Pajemski at this point.
Get that garbage out of here.
5, 3, and 4 in 27 minutes. Good game from Looney. Well, actually, that's not true. A lot of minutes from Looney. He had 9 and 5, so a mid-game. And Saric continues to be okay. He's a 14-team league guy who had 12, 7, and 6, but good for the Warriors to get a win. But now onto the Jokers on the other side of the ball. DeMar DeRozan played 41 minutes. He had 39, 6, and 5 and shot really well. I can't really blame DeMar, those numbers for him. Those shooting numbers are really strong, and he was actually a +4, which is not always the case with DeMar. Levine had 25, 8, and 7, and he also performed well, put up some good numbers. He was strong. Kobe White, 25, 4, and 7, had some defensive issues, but shot well as well. How does this Bulls team lose when DeRozan shoots 71, Levine shoots 60, and Kobe White shoots 69%? How does that happen? Because their team, they shot 58% as a team. They had a true shooting. Where's their true shooting? Of 70% in the game. The Warriors are at 65. So what happened? How did they lose this game when every indicator would suggest that they shouldn't have? Well, let me tell you how. The Warriors had 3 turnovers. 3. The Bulls only had 12, so it wasn't like the Bulls were just throwing around. They just could not force anything off the Warriors. So it didn't matter that they hit every shot in the world. They just couldn't get the ball back. Pat Williams had 7 assists. That's got to be a career high. When only look at him in 14-teamers. Vooch was just like another mid-game, I thought. 14 and 7, 33 minutes. I don't think he's a top 50 player. I thought that before the season, and he's, I think, basically lived up to that. Not a good game from Alex Caruso. 6, 2, and 2. I'll hold him for tomorrow, and I do think he's worth rostering, but again, to be fair, his last couple of games have not been good. The last 2 weeks, 186th. And if it continues, I'll tell you that he's not a must roster anymore. I will hold for now, but that's probably where we're at with him. But just like to shoot that well on a day that important with the Ring of Honor stuff for the Bulls, shout out to the Bulls fans. And by shout out, I mean booing Jerry Krause, ridiculous. But to have that game, to shoot that well and still lose at home is just, it's actually amazing. I don't know how you can do that, but they did it. Let's talk about the next one. The Hornets got Wembied, 135-99. For Charlotte, LaMelo Ball returned, only played 27 minutes. He shot poorly, 36%, but he had 28, 3, and 5 with just a bonus 5 steals. He is going to be great as a per-game basis. We know there is a 2-game playoff week coming, which is not very good. He had 40 usage, which is not really going to hold. But this is LaMelo. We know what happens here. Big Dick Nick only played 22 minutes, 12 and 8 with a block. Cool. Pretty good game. Rozier, unsurprising. Usage down. Assists in the toilet. Oh, who could have seen that coming? 16, 2 and 2 with 2 steals. And Bridges had 14 and 9 as he lost a bit of usage as well, but also the efficiency fell away, which we thought might improve with LaMelo back. But everyone sort of just needs to fall into their role. I think you can drop Brandon Miller pretty comfortably.
Get that garbage out of here.
Not only is LaMelo Ball back, and Miller, despite all these injuries, is not a top 180 player this season. He got hurt again. He didn't return with a low back contusion. He had 1 point in 9 minutes. What's he bringing you? I don't think he's got a particularly strong fantasy profile. That's why at the start of the year, when we had him projected 28, 29 minutes a night, he was 190th. It didn't make any sense for him. as a good category league player, and that has really played out exactly that way. Nick Smith, 25 minutes with ball back. 9, 6, and 5. I'm grabbing in 18s and 20s for Nick. Maybe go to 16s. They, again, started Bryce McGowan's over Brandon Miller, but Smith is outplaying him, and I'm liking the improvement. For the Spurs, let's get something out here now. Wembanyama is not playing tomorrow in the back-to-back. I know he only played 20 minutes here, but he's not playing in the back-to-back. But what is this guy? Seriously. Also a great quote from Wembanyama as well. I think it was someone was replying to about something that Sean Elliott said to him about how teams respond to him being to dunking on them. So the quote was, when he's asked by Sean Elliott whether he understands how demoralizing it is when he dunks on opponents, Victor said, "It's traumatizing sometimes. That's the goal." Bruh. He's going to be traumatizing everybody. I know that it sounds hyperbolic and you go, stop talking about Wemby. 26 and 11 with 2 blocks in 20 minutes, but it's only against the Hornets. I honestly don't care. This man is just he's 13th this season per game. Like barely playing. If he plays 35 a night at any point, he's going to be number 1, like without question. This is not even a debate anymore. If you're in a dynasty league, there will be people who still want, I want Doncic, I want Shea, I want Hallie. You don't. You want Wemby. I can't tell you what you want, but you do. You want him. You know you want him. You don't know you want him, but you should know that you want him. It's actually ridiculous what's happening here. And I know that eventually we will see it. And I don't get that stuck on stuff. I was pretty stuck on Jokic as this guy is unbelievably good. Let's get him some minutes, right? I was pretty stuck on that one. Sometimes I get stuck on guys being good and it doesn't work out, but not to that degree. This one is unbelievable. And I think we'll look back in 3 years' time and go, what is happening here? I don't think it's going to take that long. The stuff that he does is literally ridiculous. Devin Vassell, last 2 games have been a bit down, but 12, 3, and 5 with 2 steals. Fine. Sohan continues to be a back-end 12-team league guy. He's like low grade. When people say a low grade fever, just sort of sits below being total I've forgotten all my medical terms. Hyperpyrexia. Is that the right word? Anyway, just sort of sitting below that. Just doing little things. 13, 6, and 4, 2 steals and a block. He's 122nd over his last 5 games. It's fine. It's in the Norm Powell zone where, I can add him, but I don't have to hold him. Nice enough. Trey Jones is going to keep starting, so you got to roster him 6, 3, and 7, while the horse played 19 minutes, Keldon Johnson, 10 points, 27%. I will also maintain that he is not very good, and he will not be will he ever be a top 100 fantasy player again, Keldon Johnson? No, is my answer. No, he won't. Bold call. Let's go bold all the way here. The Bubbles, Champagne had 9 points in 21 minutes with 2 threes. Not a lot else going on there. Dougie McDirt hurt his ankle. He's going to be out tomorrow. Don't worry about that. It's a back-to-back anyway, so he wasn't going to play. The Trojan, Domi Barlow, only 17 minutes, 5 points, 6 rebounds, 3 blocks. If he shot better, it was 25%. It would have been a much better line, but he is an absolute stream legend for tomorrow. So is Sandro Mamakhelishvili, who had 1 and 2. Doesn't look good, but Wemby is out. Domi is going to be, if not the starter, he is playing 24-25. Sandro is playing 24-25. One might get 28, whatever. Both Domi Barlow and Mamakhelishvili are 12-team streams tomorrow. No Wemby. These guys are going to do a lot. Maybe they'll get a bit of Mamadi Diakite in there. But Domi Barlow, Sandro Mamakhelishvili, ignore some of the numbers today and just understand that it's some pretty good stuff, I think, on the horizon tomorrow. And now my favorite part of the day. We get to talk about the Raptors getting spanked 145-113 against the Utah Jazz. Just a quick check-in on Rowan Barrett Jr. Is he a 50% three-point shooter? Just trying to find, where's his numbers? 4 points on 22% with no threes. How many three-point attempts did he have? 2. He missed both of them. Okay. 4, 7, and 2 with 1 steal and 3 blocks. Cool. There you go. The peripherals are actually still pretty good. The rebounds are nice. Those blocks are fantastic. You do not rely upon that. But the shooting regression was always going to hit. It was going to hit hard. It was going to slap the shit out of you. And it did. That was, again, this is blindingly obvious stuff. If you want to hold him in points leagues, 100%. There's no debate about that. In category leagues, it's all about what you're looking for. Understanding who RJ Barrett is and the vagaries of shooting fluctuations. Let's have a quick chat about Jonte Porter, though. 31 minutes. 9, 6, and 6, 2 steals, 2 blocks. There's a couple of things that annoy me here. Thad Young played 12 minutes, had 0 points. He did have some foul trouble, but like that's the thing. Is that first game where Pirtle went down and they went to Thad and played him 30 minutes and I went, there's no way. Like, what are we talking about here? And then he's just gone back and back and back. And it happens a lot where you sort of have the thought process initially. The Boucher one didn't work, obviously. He's shit house. It's fine. You have the thought process, oh, maybe we'll get to Porter and Boucher splitting those minutes. Didn't even think about Thad, and then Thad plays big minutes. And then 2 games later, Darker's like, yeah, probably not. Probably don't need to do that. Yeah, the foul trouble was a problem, but both Thad and RJ Barrett got benched at halftime as well. So that's interesting. What the hell do we do with Jonte here? It's a really good question, because that, obviously, is a fantastic line. That is a 12-team line. And Pirtle's not coming back this week. He's not coming back next week. And is Thad Young a huge impediment? Is Chris Boucher a huge impediment? Pretty obviously, no. If you want to take the 7th commandment, I don't know if it's the 7th, but maybe it is, of get out ahead of it, get out ahead of it. Try it. He's been added to Yahoo, I think, 2-3 days ago. Shout out to them. Don't know why that took so long. Get out ahead of it. It won't be this good each night. He won't play this many minutes each night. Just literally look back 2 days ago and see how little he played. But maybe they found something here. Just watch it. Quickly was a little bit disappointing, I would say. 25 minutes, 15, 3, and 0, while Siakam had 27, 4, and 2. And Scott Barnes, another, what's going on game here from him. We always do a quick Scott Barnes usage check, and that was actually fine. 32%, but minus 21. He had 19, 3, and 3, the 3 blocks, terrible from the line. There is a real buy low here happening for Barnes, I think. I had him projected about 60th before the season. He obviously started out in the first round and was awesome. He's now 49th over the last 2 weeks, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you, well, I was right all along and that's where he's going to be, because I don't think he's going to be 60th rest of season. I don't think so. But I've got him about 30th rest of season, 25th to 30th in that zone. So if you are buying low on what he's doing, I'd be really cautious about buying low, thinking that he's a top 12 player as we move forward. I'd be cautious about doing that. I only bring up those numbers just to tell you that I've sort of got him sitting around that 30 mark. So if you are buying low, understand that if you're sending a top 20 player back, that probably isn't a buy low in my opinion. In your opinion, because you'll have a higher opinion on Barnes as a player than I did before the season, that might be completely different, and I understand that. But that's how I'm viewing that. Boucher had 7 points in 12 minutes. I just got to jack him.
Get that garbage out of here.
Just to make myself feel better. Dennis Schroeder had 12 points in 23 minutes with 4 threes. They got their ass kicked. Schroeder still remains a 12-team back-end hold sort of a player. Not much else going on that side, but on the other side, why is this team the best team in the league, the Utah Jazz? I mean, they're not, but are they? They're ahead of the Lakers, ahead of the Suns, ahead of the Warriors. They've got one of the best records over the last month, I think it is. This is what's amazing. Ever since they put Chris Dunn and Colin Sexton into the starting lineup, they're cracking. Markkanen, 22-9. Sexton played 20 minutes and had 20 points. This guy I've been very critical of through his career. He's been amazing. He's a very clear must-roster player, and I didn't think it was possible for him to be a top 70 player in under 25 minutes, and he's doing it. I don't know how it's happening, but it's happening, so we just roll. 20 points, 5 assists, 2 steals. Dunn only played 18 minutes, and he got some garbage time minutes, but 6, 5, and 5, 1 steal, 2 blocks. It's still worth it. It's still a 14-team league guy at worst. Clarko had 21 points, a strong game there, and even Walker Kessler. You might sit here and bitch and tell me how bad Will Hardy is. He sucks as a coach. He's dreadful. Why won't they play Kessler more? A couple of things. You're wrong. They're winning. That's all fine. But Kessler still had 12 and 6, 1 steal, 3 blocks. That's still fine. I think maybe you just over-indexed how valuable he would be, which I also find people who come to rip on me about Walker Kessler really funny. Man, you don't know anything. You got Walker Kessler wrong. Did I? I guess I did, but I think I was the Walker Kessler hater. I think we, even me, who was not that high on him, over-indexed ourselves on what Kessler was going to do. But, I don't know how you argue any of these results. They're killing teams. Consistently. 12 and 6, 3 blocks, Kessler. Still really good. Even Kelly Olynyk popped his bloody head back in there, so I have to talk about him as a 12-team option, maybe. 11, 10, and 5. I don't want to talk about him, but 103rd over the last 2 weeks in 19 minutes. I have to talk about him. Sure, streamer. I don't have to talk about Fontecchio. He is a drop, while John Collins had 4 points in 14 minutes, and he is also nothing more than a 12-team streamer, and he's not a must-roster. Keontae George, think we're dropping him as well.
Get that garbage out of here.
I like George still. He had 9, 3, and 6, but I'm not really seeing big signs of improvement. The injury set him back. Their new lineup is clicking like I've never seen anything click in my life, and George is not a part of it, so don't worry about holding on to him. You might think luxury stash, and I'm sort of thinking a little bit of that. Even my Taylor Hendricks March stash stuff. This team's too good for that now, I think. I don't know what they're going to do, but they're too good. They are legitimately good, and I don't understand it. If only there was a very clear reason, like somebody who went out of the lineup or something that helped turn this around, that I could pinpoint it on, but I don't know. Taylor Horton-Tucker continues to be rostered in 6% of 12-team leagues. He was a DMP CD here, so yeah, I think you can go ahead and move on from him. All right, let's just wrap this day up now with the Nuggets handling the Pelicans 125-113, the final score. The Pelicans, all of their questionable guys played, so I would guess there's a pretty sizable risk that both Zion and Trey Murphy sit tomorrow, or do they just sit everybody? That's also possible. I believe they play the Wolves. Let me just double check this. No, they play the Mavericks tomorrow with no Doncic. So, yeah, I think there's going to be some significant rests for New Orleans tomorrow. Zion had 30 and 6 with 5 assists. That's such a Zion game. 1 block, no threes, bad free throws, high field goals. That's a Zion game. 20 minutes for Nance, 13 and 2, 2 steals and a block. That's a 14-team ad for sure. Valanciunas, 26 minutes, 17 and 6. Another game where he splits minutes with Nance. He is still a hold, but that top 40 run is cooked. It's not going to happen. McCollum has cooled off a little bit here, 12, 5, and 7. It's not a terrible game, but some of the stuff he was doing I always thought was going to fall away, and that's not a great game here. Only 19 minutes out of Herbalife Jones. He had 8, 1, and 1. His last couple of games were really strong, but part of the reason why it is hard to rely upon him is there's so much fluctuation in his minutes, his production, his defensive stats. They go back and forward so much. With Trey Murphy, I wouldn't hold him in a points league.
Get that garbage out of here.
I probably would in a category league, but if I'm in a shallow one, a 10-team, I don't think it's worth it. He had 6 points, 2 threes, 4 assists, 2 steals. He's probably not going to play tomorrow. He shot 22%. His runway to production being top 70 is an injury long-term to somebody else. That's never a great spot to be in to hold somebody. Ingram's last 2 games have been bad. 9, 4, and 6 with nothing going on there. Bad percentages. Just honestly a stinking game from him. Obviously, he is okay, but maybe they've been in the middle of a tough period of games. Maybe he's banged up. Maybe he sits tomorrow as well, and we're really rolling with Dyson Daniels and Najee Marshall and Jeremiah Robinson-Earl and Big Geordie Hawkins is in there. That's possible too. For the Nuggets, I don't know what more we need to talk about. Big Chungus had a big triple-double, 27, 10, and 14 on 65%. Michael Ponder bounced back after a string of bad ones. He had 20 and 10, and the headmaster had 20 and 2 with 9 assists. Good game from Jamal Murray. KCP did his thing, 3 threes, 2 steals, 11 points. He's not a 12-team points guy. He's fine as a 12-team category league guy, but he's a steals and 3 specialist. He's like a slightly better Leaky Beasley to me, which is okay, but it's just not for everybody. And Aaron Gordon had a real rough night from the line, 1 of 3 and 15, 5, and 2. It's not a great game, but it's all right. Peyton Watson's obviously dropped away. He still had the steal in his block, but he's a nice deeper league guy, a nice dynasty stash, sort of a player. And that is going to bring us to the end of a bit of a bonus Friday recap. I will just run in here and tell you who the line of the night is. I'm not going to muck around and do a whole bunch of stuff. Paul George wins the line of the night, the monstrous line of the night, that is. The waiver wire line of the night is Isaiah Jackson. Your young gun of the night, of course, is Victor Wembanyama. Your dud of the night is Sterling Henderson. Yeah, Sterling Henderson. Or Scott Barnes actually was well down the bottom of my list because of the high volume bad free throws. But let's give it to Scooter here today. Don't forget, guys, do you want to be a double banger? Come on. It's a Saturday here for me. We're all double banging on a Saturday. Watch the video, listen to the audio, thumb it up, ring the bell, leave your comments down below. Where are you? Here's a question if you're still listening. Do you think Wembanyama can be a top 5 player next season? I'm not sure what I feel about it, but I know I'm not dismissing it out of hand. Top 5 player. Possible. Maybe. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.